Right, so there we are with Azure Data Studio. The welcome screen is always going to come up. Let's check out our connections. We have connected successfully to SQL Express. Again, how do you connect to that? Double click, it connects. Let's edit it to make sure that you see how the connection was done. All right, we already connected to it successfully with SQL Express, and we're good to go. From here, we're able to see the system databases that came with it, and we created a test database. This is a user-defined database, just like you have user-defined tables. To create another database, let's go ahead and right-click, select New Database. But this time around, we want to make sure we choose an owner. So this was called test. Let's call this database 100 days IT challenge. That's a really long name. Let's just call it 100 days. And we'll say it is for this owner. Awesome. Those options, again, we don't really need to bother about them. Keep them the same. Everything looks good. We can go ahead and create this. If we want to check out the script that does this, we can generate the script and show the details or copy it, and then we can check it out later. So let's close that out. But let's create this, and you see how long it takes to run. 1 second, and it's created successfully. Here's the script. Let me close the bottom area. Here's the script that creates it. So it creates this database. That's the SQL code. All the other options that we had, containment and so on and so forth, ledgers are also included in there. And let's collapse now. Before I collapse that, let me just scroll down so we can see the rest of the stuff. So again, it's going to make sure that all of these compatibility levels and so on and so forth are all in there. It looks good. And if it does not exist, you go ahead and add it to that group and so on and so forth. That's about it. So it could be just a simple create query like this that does it, but the rest of these are being added, for integrity issues. So before I close it, if you look to your left in the column for connections, you should now see that within our databases, outside the system databases, we have 100 days. Okay, so let's close this so it doesn't look too nasty, and close the welcome screen as well. On here, we can expand the database. Remember, this icon is going to tell you it's a database. The folders just group together similar items. For instance, this database folder is grouping all the databases together, but it has a subfolder which is system databases that groups together the databases that come with SQL Server, the system itself. And outside, we have other content. We can create our own folders and decide how we want to group the databases and so on and so forth. So we don't care about that for now. In here, we have 100 days. And if we expand it, we have more folders. All our tables are going to go in this folder, the views, which is an intermediate topic we haven't talked about. Synonyms, programmability, like stored procedures and so on will go in there. Our schema is going to go in our security, together with the users and roles that we're going to create. Our keys, encryptions, specifications, policies, and so on. So that's how you can explore all your objects, your database objects in here. For each database, you're going to have the same contents grouping, tables, views, security, storage, and so on. All right, so we successfully connected to SQL Server Express on our desktop. You should still have the same or similar setup for SSMS and other tools. So let's jump into DBeaver to be able to see how it's connected. If you decided to use a cloud version, everything in here is on-site, it's on-premises, it's local to our computer. That's where you see your servers. Then, if you're going on the cloud, you can sign into Azure like we saw earlier, and you should be good to go. Put your credentials in there, accept whatever you need to. If you're going to be using, say, additional resources like source control, fine. You can connect to a repository or clone a repository on GitHub or Subversion or any other source control tool that you're using. All right, so that's it for Azure Data Studio. Next up, when we get back into Azure Data Studio, we're going to start creating schema to group our content, our objects, and then create tables. But as easy as it is, we're able to create this database. All right, so let's slide over to DBeaver and see what it looks like with databases and tables that have already been created for us. Awesome. close this and open up DBeaver. So again, our icons on the desktop make it easy for us to access it. You can always pin your icons on your taskbar if you need, and it's up to you. So DBeaver we installed, we downloaded and installed it. Each time it comes up, it's going to give us a tip for the day. We can disable that feature or keep it going, that's totally fine, or keep scrolling to add tips, but I'll just close that for now. Again, we saw what the layout looks like, very similar. You know, it has all these menu items at the top. If you need to check out your preferences, you go to Window, check out your preferences, make sure that everything is good, your connections are all set up. The good thing, like I mentioned earlier, is with DBeaver you can connect to many different types of databases. SQLite, MariaDB, MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and so on and so forth. Okay, there's tons and tons of databases you can connect to. All you need to do is to make sure that you download the right driver. If you don't have the driver, it's going to ask you to download it from the Maven website. Okay, so if we need a SQL Server, we can go ahead and do the same for that. Our host was, I believe it was SQL Server Express, SQL Express, and it should probably work for us. If we do that and test the connection, we don't want to use SQL Server authentication, we want to use our Windows authentication. So we should be good. It's going to connect automatically to master because it knows that the master is a system table or system database that it comes with. Let's test the connection, and it looks like we have connection issues. We need to download the driver. If we download the driver successfully, then we should be able to connect or edit the driver, but I'm not going to go through that for now. We're going to disregard that and go into SQLite. What is SQLite? SQLite is just obviously like that version of SQL. It works mostly, again, very useful for mobile devices or mobile applications because you don't want to install the whole SQL package in there. But here we have a sample database once we installed the DBeaver. If we expand this, it looks very similar in terms of the groupings as what we just saw with ADS, Azure Data Studio. We have our tables, views, indices, sequences, data types, table triggers. And data types, we already talked about those. Integers, real numbers, numeric, text, and blobs. This is different. It's a little bit different for SQLite. Okay. Others, we had big int, small int, tiny int, and so on. But here we just have integer, real numbers, and numeric. We also have text and blobs. Now, what I want us to look at here is the tables. If we expand the tables, you see that there are already some tables in here that come the sample database that we're working with. We have an album table, artists, customers, and so on. They are all mixed up together. If we expand the table, you can see the table structure has columns or fields or attributes or characteristics. So the columns for the album has an album ID, which is an integer. It has a title, which is a variable character, and as we discussed earlier in the previous chapter for Unicode encoding, and an artist ID, which is, we haven't talked about primary and foreign keys yet, but this gives me an idea that, hey, the album is probably tied to the artist. Okay, so that's an example. You can check out the keys, primary, foreign keys. We haven't talked about that, so I will not bother with you. But what I need you to do is remember, like we said in the previous tutorials, in the previous videos, there is always a power in right clicking. So right click on the album. You don't need to create an album or create a table, but you want to view your table. So let's click on view a table and see what happens to the right. In here, we are able to see those columns that we just talked about, everything that we expanded here. So we see our columns, our keys, foreign keys, which we are not going to focus on. But after looking at these, each column, when you click on it, it gives you a description if you had one. It gives you more information about the length and so on and so forth. But this is just showing you the properties, the structure of the table. If you want to see what is actually the contents of the table, what is inside the table, you need to go to the data tab. In the data tab, we see there's quite a good number of albums. Okay, so at the bottom, it's going to give you some summary information. You can export your data. It's showing you 200 or more records that have been fetched. Tells you how long it took to fetch the records, 7 seconds, and so on and so forth. So each one of these is an album. You can also check out the ER diagram. ER diagram is an entity relationship diagram. It's something that is useful for architects and for those that are actually going to design and build your database. You can see, like I said, that artist ID was going to help us get to the artist. So we have artist table, which is right here. We have an album table, which is connected to the artist table, and a track table or song, which is also in there. So those three tables are connected to make it a relational database, because the tables are related to these links. All right. So that's just one of the tables. We can check out other tables. For instance, employee. If I right click on the employee, I can view the table. It opens up in a new tab. Within that tab, we have sub-tabs that gives me the employee relationship. An employee can be related to another employee, probably the boss or team lead related to whoever is reporting to them. And then employees are related to customers as well. Okay, I think there should be another one for invoice. Let's go ahead and check that out. There you go. So the customer can be related to an invoice, the invoice can be related to an invoice line, and so on. If you want to check out the invoices in there, you check out the data. There's quite a good number of records in there. But what are the columns in the invoice table? So check out the properties. You have the invoice ID, the customer ID, the date of the invoice, the address, billing information, and the total invoice. Okay, so that is how you can explore your database to check out the content, the tables, the data, and so on and so forth, before we even start writing queries. When you get to part of writing queries, we need to go to SQL to start executing. So again, this is just to explore each one of these tools very, very quickly. When we dive into SQL queries, we're going to even explore it deeper and deeper and answer a lot of questions, create a lot of objects, also administer a lot of stuff to make life easy for you. All right, so let's close everything back. So our table or Explorer is clean. Collapse this. Again, we can create more tables, more databases, and so on. We're probably not going to work with DBeaver that much. We're going to work mostly with Azure Data Studio, because eventually when we start talking about cloud computing, we'll use that to connect to the cloud very seamlessly. And I don't think there's any need for us to look at SSMS, even though it is a very popular tool for enterprises. Maybe I'll take a look at it. If you want me to really take a look at SSMS, drop me a comment in down below. Let me know, and I'll do my best. It should take me 3 minutes to go through SSMS, and if there's a need for it, please let me know and we can walk through it. Feel free to ask me a question, like, subscribe, and comment, so that you encourage me to keep doing this, as well as help the YouTube algorithm to recommend it to others who might need the help. All right, thank you very much. That's about it. I'm very sure I want to close DBeaver, and we're good.